And now, Chuck, you have devotion for us. I know it's something special. This is Holy Week, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you. We are at Tuesday of Holy Week, and I always like to spend some time during this week reflecting on the events that happened during that actual time, trying to put myself back into those events. So you've got Jesus riding into the city of Jerusalem on a Sunday, celebrated by the people there. They throw their cloaks and their palm branches at his feet, and by Friday morning they crucify him. How quickly things can turn around in life. And certainly during this week, there are great readings from both the Old and New Testament that we can turn to in the tumult of our own lives. One of my favorites is a simple verse from the 49th chapter of Isaiah. It's verse 4. And it says, "Though I thought I had toiled in vain and for nothing uselessly spent my strength, yet my reward is with the Lord. My recompense is with my God." In many ways, we can apply this verse to both Jesus and the apostles during this week. If Jesus had been merely human, if he didn't have his eye on the big picture, at the Last Supper, Jesus would certainly have had every reason to be disappointed. For 3 years, he had devoted his life to preaching, to giving an example of self-sacrifice and unconditional love, and to bringing about dramatic victories, really miracles, over sickness, demonic powers. He even raised a guy from the dead. And yet, no matter how hard he worked, God's reign on earth must have still seemed like a distant dream. Political leaders still dismissed him. Religious leaders were jealous of his popularity. Many who once followed him enthusiastically had lost their passion or had become afraid and decided to go back home. Then he looks around the table at his closest friends, and he knows one of them is about to betray him. Peter ardently professes his lifelong loyalty, and Jesus knows that in just a few hours this fellow will deny ever having met him. The rest seemed to be completely unaware of all that hung in the balance. But Jesus knew his reward was with the Lord. His recompense was with God. And perhaps we too face disappointments. Maybe our poor choices have had some devastating consequences for either us or those we love, or both. Maybe our dream relationship has faded. We may feel like we've been derailed from that successful career path we had in mind. Even our relationship with the Lord may seem weak and impure. Take heart. Jesus didn't give up, and neither should you. Whatever disappointment you face today really pales before Jesus' apparent failure by Holy Thursday. But Jesus leaned on his Father in total trust, and so must we. And if we see ourselves more as Peter than Jesus, and I have to believe that's the way most of us feel, a follower who has betrayed our leader, remember the compassion that Jesus showed Peter. Remember that he tells Peter at that Last Supper, "Where I am going, you cannot follow now, though you will follow later." Jesus does not condemn Peter for that upcoming denial. He understands and says, "I'll still hold a spot in heaven for you." Jesus knows that soon enough he will win victory over all the forces of darkness. He knows he is destined to overcome sin, Satan, and even death itself. And he's doing it for you and for me. Take heart in his victory today and know that he is with you. Know that even with all the disappointments and heartache you may be facing in your life right now, you too can follow Jesus on the way of the cross and in the way of salvation.
Amen to that. We're not in a hopeless situation.
Not at all.
You know, when I was growing up, Chuck, my mother would often tell me, you're not just living for this time, you're living for the life to come. So just pace yourself and know that God will, give you the ability, He will empower you to live this life for Him.
The difference between Judas and Peter is Judas gave in to the sin of despair.
Right.
And when we fall into despair, when there is no hope, when we don't see a light at the end of the tunnel or that light's an approaching freight train, then it's awfully tough to climb out of that. Yeah, Peter stumbled and he fell and he committed sin and he denies Jesus, but he didn't lose the hope and he didn't lose the belief in Jesus, and we can't afford to either. No matter what disappointments we face, no matter how badly we feel that we have sinned against Jesus, He is a merciful God and He will redeem us if we just ask Him.
Amen to that. I mean, it's so hard to come after you with that, Chuck. We'd encourage you to give us a call here at Prayer Line, and we'll see you tomorrow on Harvest.